Hey fellas, well, with my Vader sweatshirt on there's been, I definitely have another slight change in plans. I'm going to be starting my High Sun and Moon Season 2 vlogs on the 18th, because I just realized, again, on the 17th, 1 week from today, in fact, will be the Lego Star Wars Holiday Special will be streaming on Disney Plus. I'll definitely get you a video on that for my journey into their whole top of my Mandalorian vlogs, which also happens to be 42 years to the day the original special aired on TV. Coincidence? I think not. With that in mind, given how I already mentioned the very 70s commercials from the cop I used for Baltimore, thought I would give you something a little different. A Ramble and the Star Wars Holiday Special ad. So there are 19 minutes worth to go through the Baltimore affiliate, and I'm going to be talking about all of them briefly. So let's get this started. Okay, so first off is the General Motors Willie Rawles advert, and I'll definitely say this as much about it. To get started, definitely already gives off a good impression of what Motor City was like in those days. And as per the 70s stuff, you can definitely expect to hear the phrase nice hair and nice hat a lot when in this video, so let's keep going. Next up is Kenner's Trail Tracker. It seems. I know it may seem simple to some of you in 1978, where you basically just draw on the mat with the crayons, and the truck will follow the line that's been drawn, but I guess, to be fair, this was the days before Mario Kart Home Circuit became a thing, and all things considered, like some of the other merges I'll be discussing in the ads for, actually is a pretty nice little design for the time, I will admit. So, let's keep this going. Okay, so we've got their Sunday lineup up in that time frame, starting off with 60 Minutes, then All in the Family, classic. Alice, not as familiar with that one. Also, special with Lucy, as in Lucille Ball coming in Nashville, and of course the nighttime soap opera classic Dallas. But if only a little bit at the end for Andy Rooney poking all his absurdity. I miss him sometimes. Okay, so next up, Comtrex cold medicine. So I don't think they make that anymore. Or nor do they make Contac. I'm not certain. I think the only bits in there still being made are Bayer aspirin and the Dristan on the upside medicine cabinet. It's it's definitely a simple and effective setup, which is still being used for selling medicine today. It definitely has a kind of 70s charm to it, though. Okay, so the International Ladies Garment Workers Union label jingle. This might be most well known among younger generations outside the special being spoofed on the separate episode Freak Strike, with the tune Everything. Some other ones started me included, maybe Eric Stoltz from Mask, a purple version of Thing Fantastic Four, and just Liza Minnelli as herself, I love how weird some things can be sometimes, you know? Okay, moving right along. Genuine Bell telephones, some of the designs are actually pretty nice for the time. But as for this whole be choosy slogan, and it's a good thing they're using different spelling it, otherwise I think the people at Jif might sue someone. Maybe. Yeah. Okay, we have one preview for the CBS movie of the Bible. Also, apparently, even on a TV budget in the 70s, they still were able to crank out religious epics, so. A very interesting tactic for CBS, I'll admit that. So, might as well keep this going. And to be fair, yeah. Moving right along, we have the Reggie Bar advertisements. So candy for celebrity endorsements. Just keeps bringing to mind about Strombat and the Splounched. What if I think about that? As well as there's also a little partial one here for Dolly, a Dolly Parton TV special, I believe. Hey, whether or not she would have been better at singing to people at the cantina remains to be seen. And once again, I think the other job, all considered. Yeah. Another GM advertisement, this time centered around James Rock. I'm not sure whether that name was given to him for those that were known by blood or by marriage, but that is possibly a pretty cool name, all things considered. Either way, definitely something. It's a bit less jive than any potential turkeys working at Chrysler, or I suppose, at those days. Yeah. Alright, so a bit of Pillsbury plus pudding cake. So definitely really selling how there's pudding in the mix, and I definitely have had more than my fair share of those pudding cakes in my life. No oh boy here, but definitely I noticed that there's definitely a distinct moistness to it. But I'm mostly just listening to the funkiness in the music in this advert as well. And there'll be definitely a lot more of these adverts to talk about, so let's keep going. Alright, so now we got Hungry Jack Biscuits, where before he goes camping, apparently the biscuits are being served to the titular Hungry Jack, who is a giant, or maybe he's Dynamaxing, I don't know. Oh, and so I still rather like the whole refrigerated dough center they're talking about. I already mentioned the Doughboy a bit in my previous this ad riff, so let's move on. Yeah. Yeah, so CBS News Break. While this may not be quite as iconic as the Fighting Freezes 11 Heaven and from the Chicago affiliates copy, this still has another demonstration being much simpler time, whether it's brief coverage of the neutron bomb tested by Breshnev, have apparently Kampiles was convicted of selling secrets, and little bits about the maternity wards and snowstorms in that time frame, so not a whole lot to say here, but there'll still be plenty more where that came from. Yeah. And there's also a bit from Contac, who, again, I don't think they make these anymore, or I'm not certain, but I guess they weren't really taking that swipe that Comtrex took them down by any means. Also, before I continue, I mentioned before that originally the special was just going to be an hour long, but the network suits wanted to be featured online, so there's some more ad space to it, so let's keep going. Okay, next up we got a promo for Bobby Vinton's Rock and Rollers. 50s nostalgia. Roller skates, a grease on wheels selling point. Could this be any less 70s? I definitely would defy anyone to say otherwise. And we definitely can have more, as I will continue to point out here. Okay. Hey, The Wild Geese. Hey, starring Richard Burton, Roger Moore, and Richard Harris. It's a war film, and apparently the author of the book reported disliked the film for representing the opposite message he intended, which I don't think it's the first time that's happened where an author has been dissatisfied with an adaptation of their work, and it certainly would not be the last either, so let's keep right on going. Okay, Gladding Chevrolet advertising 79 Chevette, which is a notoriously terrible car. My parents often jokingly referred to it as the Chevy Chevette in those days. He's mean. It's definitely not something I personally want to enjoy driving. And my father tends to be the big GM guy in my family, but it really says something when even he cannot defend this car at all, man. And he used to work on Alls for a living before he got in their job, so yeah. Alright, so to close out the first half of the specials adverts, we have these free information pamphlets, which, even with this guy apparently indulging a sandwich and causing a scale to square like he's in a cartoon, this was actually pretty nice, and this was in the days before search engines were really a thing. And so, once again, it's a nice little artifact, which I don't know why it just kind of fascinates me about how people lived in those days. Sometimes these old advertisements, these special can be kind of like time capsules, man. I was like, just something as simple as like the way people behave, the way they spoke, the way they cut their hair, can find their way in there, Yeah. After a partial advert for Hot City, we have Tobor, the robots go backwards from Shopper. It's apparently a telesonic robot, as they're describing. And it's definitely pretty interesting toy design, I will admit. All things considered, since that's another thing that shows how far something like toy design comes in the 70s as well, Again, I'll keep getting into this, and definitely for people a certain age or my age mindset or both, there's never a time where robots will stop being interesting at all. I guarantee you that. The Revlon Cream on Blush advert, definitely a very interesting choice there. I'm not sure if they were the same people that provided the makeup for the late Diane Carroll's almost vision to who Itchy he so, but definitely you could probably if you use enough of it, maybe you could do like a DIY version of Queen Amidala's makeup schemes, or maybe one of her handmaidens acted as a decoy. I don't know. Oh, I'm just gonna keep going. The Whirlpool Eagle advert, it certainly wouldn't be the first nor the last time a company tried to use patriotic fervor to sell something, least of all appliances. But whoever's narrating this ad, definitely it gives off a vibe of coming right after the Ford administration. I bet he's really gonna like it when all these weird podcasts become a thing. Yeah. Okay, Anacin Aspirin, definitely liking the exterior shots here, and then some extent like the interior of the store where they go to pick up the aspirin as well. This one I know they do still make. Just to sometimes if they do still make something, I'll point it out. But there's definitely a lot of surprises with these advertisements, and to say the least. Okay, some points. This ad for Woolites, which definitely has a surprisingly funky jingle for what's laundry detergent. That's definitely a brand that has never really been and afraid to change with the times, even in very strange ways. I mean, I think I still remember a while back that in my lifetime that Bob Zombie of all people directed some ads for them. Basically, making like a clothing advert which takes murder off your linen to logical extreme, but I think I'll definitely settle for take a second look and just how they want to keep a very 70s looking fashions clean, so to speak. Sheer indulgence. I will definitely just give us a brief aside and saying by thunder they definitely had great form in those days. But I still have more to cover so let's keep this train going. Okay, a McMuffin, and definitely a very 70s jingle there, much of the last couple ones. Like between the people fishing that can't say lyrics fast enough and the wah-wah guitar, her riffs, it definitely is very much of its time. But there's something kind of charming about some of these 70s adverts, I'll admit. Even for some stuff I'm not inherently familiar with at all. So let's keep that going. Alright, so the sitcom Flying High. Even though it doesn't have a Wikipedia page, just one. I don't even know what to make of it. I've never seen this show, and I don't really seem to have much staying power as other shows from the 70s either, so keep moving. Ford Lincoln Mercury dealers featuring like the Bobcat and the Zephyr. I'm not sure if there is another auto manufacturer that also used cats as to who named their cars, but Bobcats and Zephyrs aren't really as well known as cheetahs, I suppose, for selling cars, but as it goes, definitely is not totally without how I'm working on. Okay, spot for the Wiz. The lining up of Yellow Brick Road pitch is interesting, considering the film was actually a rather infamous flop that ate back a little more than half its budget for inflation. Though the film has garnered a cult following among fans of play and among other audiences. To be fair, the Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band movie was the same from the singing was a lot worse, if I'm being honest. Yeah. FTD Florists, it's definitely very strange. Ad. I mean, I know that's technically the guy in the logo, but this whole Hermes cosplay is just kind of weirding me out somewhat. I mean, have expect to see John Belushi in a toga in the hospital there as well. And the General Hospital is in relation to the Long Line soap opera either, so yeah. Fruit of the Loom. I will just keep this brief because I'm honestly surprised that they've been doing the ads with their fruits and fig leaves selling undergarments for this long, for me, to be honest. There's only a few more left, thankfully. AT&T, well, it suddenly captured the feeling of the how sometimes these calls can go on, these weird tangents as well. I'm not going to be paying too much mind to the Twice as Fresh advert since I know they don't make that one anymore. Yeah. No nonsense leggings, so. And that's definitely something else. How to say, hey there, I mean. It takes a different tack than the sheer indulgence ones, but it's still very much of its time, and now we're about to get to the real ticket here. Alright, and we've got the Kenner Star Wars merchandise where definitely even at that time and still decades later, these were some actually really good design, really well designed toys at the time with the Starship models, the radio controlled R2 and the figurines, and as well as the electronic skill game. So definitely it's a standard, and is a reason why I film these much as pictures go Vinton nowadays. Hence I have at least two Detective Pikachu posters hanging in my home right now. Oh, and yet no little figurine Art Carney. So gonna wrap this up soon. Last but not least is Colony Wines with the Weekend Photographer. I'm not sure whether they're specifying which colony, or whether it's French or Italian or Swiss. It does not specify, but uh, overall, these adverts are definitely, much like the special itself, a strange part of its legacy, to be honest. So, well before The Mandalorian, either version of Clone Wars, or any subsequent and piece of work for that matter. I mean, this definitely was a very strange artifact to talk about, and I guess I'll see you all next week when the Lego Stars Holiday Special will be in streaming. Yeah, I'll be off for now. Later.